In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at these current conditions and, of course, as always, diving into that upcoming pattern where we have a lot to talk about. There's multiple chances that the models have been trending at for snowfall in the eastern part of the nation, even as far south as we've seen a lot of storms showing a pretty suppressed storm. Potentially bringing snowfall to this region at times. They're kind of off and on about it, which means we should really be skeptical and take it with a grain of salt as a possibility, but not a likelihood yet, because the models are very iffy about that. But we will talk about that chance, and there's a higher chance the further north you go here in the eastern United States. So we'll talk about all of those things within this video, of course, and there is a lot to talk about already on the current conditions as well. We have passing thunderstorms and showers throughout this area here, kind of a spring-like weather look here in the eastern United States. Now, it's not quite as warm as spring would be, obviously, but it is an interesting look to say the least. We do see plenty of snowfall and rainfall happening in these areas for the Southwest, the Four Corner states, up through the northern plains as well. We have plenty of snowfall and rainfall showers happening, mostly snow to the north and mostly rainfall there to the south, and even some snow squall warnings here in between. Mostly for Colorado and Wyoming there. Now, we do see another storm system moving on to the northwest. So we'll zoom in and take a look at this one actually. First things first. We do see that for these green areas, this is going to be your light to moderate shower area. We do have plenty of snowfall happening here up in Washington. This is going to be moderate to heavy snowfall occurring. So we see whites, and even it looks like very close to Seattle, there's some snowfall occurring, I would say. Maybe even parts of Seattle seeing some of that snowfall. Actually, we do see potentially downtown Seattle seeing some snowfall there. So if you're in Seattle, let me know if it's all rain or if there is some passing snow showers happening here. Very interesting there. It doesn't happen every time. And for how far north they are, they're a less wintry location than you would think. So definitely very interesting there. We'll move all the way to the southwest here because there's just a frontal boundary creating some rainfall here across the southwest here in Southern California here. We see these light passing showers for a lot of these regions, mostly to the north of LA, but also happening in LA for certain spots there. As we work our way further north and further east here, we could see that for portions of, I think, southern Utah here. Let's see. Yeah, southern Utah. We're seeing some snowfall and rainfall also along the same frontal boundary that's extending all the way from Southern California up northward towards Canada. So we'll take this further north in just a minute. We do have some rainfall and snowfall showers across New Mexico and Arizona. Then Colorado is where the heaviest snowfall is occurring here. We see this moderate to even heavy snowfall occurring in here. Rainfall in the very far southern areas. But we see these squall warnings coming in here for the northwest part of the state, where we do see these blues popping up, indicating extremely heavy snowfall. So certainly something to watch in here. Very heavy snowfall occurring. We even see some heavier snowfall occurring here for these areas in here near Cheyenne and Fort Collins as well. But it looks like maybe has changed over to rainfall as it's reached a little bit of some lower elevation areas, but it's hard to tell if the radar is correct or not. We also have some heavier snowfall occurring for central regions of Wyoming, and even as we work our way towards the Dakotas here, we have a low located near Fargo there. So we see that there is a lot of snowfall occurring. Probably our most widespread snowfall in the nation right now is happening across South Dakota and North Dakota here. Very moderate to heavy snowfall occurring in the middle of this where we see the bright whites. So certainly not a light snowfall event, and this is probably accumulating pretty quickly for a lot of these areas as well. So certainly some very interesting stuff. And we see for central and northern Minnesota, we also see some of this snowfall occurring and building in, mostly near these lakes here, near Grand Rapids and Walker. This is going to be pretty light snowfall, though, across these regions. Pretty light, maybe moderate in some spots, but going to be lighter in general. Now as we work our way eastward, the only thing else going on here is we see these kind of isolated and scattered showers happening in here, and there is some snowfall in there, especially for Ohio and Indiana earlier on, but it looks like it has warmed up and changed over to mostly all rainfall here for a lot of these areas. Now for western Tennessee and eastern Arkansas, this did look like a little bit of some thunderstorms for a while there, but it looks like it is kind of lightened up a little bit over the last couple of hours. So certainly going to be something to watch. But I mean, mostly I'm thinking there is no thunder or lightning in these areas whatsoever. But that might change as we reach the daytime highs, especially the deeper south you are. So only time will be able to tell. Now, what we're going to do is finally we're going to go ahead and move on, and we're going to talk about the upcoming pattern because, again, there's a lot of cold and a lot of snow to talk about. Here we are taking a look at the upcoming storminess. I just want to show you guys a couple of these snowstorms that we end up seeing in here. Now, as time rolls on, we see a warmer pattern all the way up until about the 10th. We get our first little chance at a potential snowstorm here between Friday and Saturday, the 9th and the 10th. And this is one of the ones that the models have been really, really latching onto. And this depends on what the temperatures end up doing. But we see that this comes in as a snowstorm that potentially brings snowfall for all of these areas here. We'll watch it play out, but it brings snowfall pretty far south. And we saw it even further south as of a couple days ago for mostly this area, but it had to come in later. So it's been showing up earlier and earlier and potentially could be a mid-Atlantic storm. We're left with cold afterwards, and then we get about a bit of a cutter here. And a cutter is going to be a storm that cuts in ahead of the trough being able to move into the east. So we see the warm air surging in and the snowstorm moving out ahead of it, but this would be a good storm for the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley. And eventually, on the back end, it does bring some snowfall here for a lot of the Northeast and the interior eastern United States in general. Then we get some more snowfall chances that look to be targeting in these areas for sure. And this is all the same storm track I was telling you guys that we'd be seeing a lot of, something like this as opposed to this, which is less than favorable, I will say. But that's in general what we're looking at here. Now, I don't want to focus too much on that because the temperature pattern is the more interesting thing here, but we'll take a look here at the total precipitation first off, and anywhere in the whites, we're expecting practically no precipitation. Grays, 1/10 of an inch or less. Your greens, 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Blues, 1/2 an inch to an inch. Your yellows, 1 inch to 2 inches. Reds, 2 to 5 inches, and then your browns, 5 to 10 inches of precipitation there for portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and the northern Gulf states there as well. Now, total snowfall through the next 15 days or so, looking a bit more favorable here across the central and eastern United States. Anywhere in the grays being a dusting, if anything. Blues, 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Purples, 6 to 10. Pinks, 10 to 20 there. Your pastel blues, 20 to 30 inches of snowfall. And then your pinks, your pastel pinks in there, inside those blues, like we see for the Sierra Nevadas there, and even eastern Canada there. That is going to be 38 to 48 inches plus. So certainly a whole lot of snowfall somewhere. And somewhere in the Sierra Nevadas there, we're seeing 100 inches plus. So certainly a whole lot of snowfall to be expected. Now, the temperature pattern here is, again, where things get really, really interesting. So we're a little bit cooler right now, and it's been that way for a couple of days. We are going to see another warm-up here, as you can see. And this is going to last a little while. So we see for the 3rd of December, this is fully set in. We see cold mostly for the northwest and the north central United States here. And then as time moves on, we get another little bit of a cool down for the 4th and the 5th here in the east. And then we see a warm up again. For the 6th, 7th, and 8th, we're seeing this warm surge in. This again, the cold is still really, really just held up there. And we see this southeast ridge really last quite a while, again, all the way through the 8th here up the east coast. So it's going to be a little bit more pleasant temperatures. And then the cold starts to make its way in around the 10th, 11th, and then really for the 12th, 13th, 14th. Look at this. This is the 15th here, and we see that clearly the Arctic blast is just taking aim right through the north central into the eastern United States. This is a really nice bit of a neutral PNA, I guess you could say, that's trying to develop, but it's positive down here. And what this causes is the cold to move around that area into these areas here. So we're seeing the cold spread in through the eastern United States just like this. And likely we're seeing a pattern that looks like this on the jet stream, and even something like this potentially, which is super interesting and does give way. Again, this is the 15th and beyond, so take it with a grain of salt, but it does sort of give the chance for a storm to take this track, a Miller A type track. And this would potentially mean snowfall for a lot of some eastern United States areas. And even though we see some positive temperatures up here for Maine, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be actually warm. It's just going to be a little bit more mild than what you guys are used to, which is usually very, very frigid this time of year. We see things only get worse as we approach the 18th and 20th time frame on this model, which is the GFS Ensemble model. Again, I talked about, I think in yesterday's video, how these ensemble models have much more members, so you're getting a much more averaged out opinion, which means less room for error usually, hopefully. So this particular model here has 30 members, I believe. The GEFS model has 30 members, so this is 30 different opinions put into one map here, and this is the mean average of all of those. And we're still getting 10 to 15 degree below normal temperatures 15 days out here, which means a great majority of those ensemble members have far below normal temperatures during this time frame right here. So certainly going to be something interesting to watch, and this is one of the more confident frames I've seen from an ensemble model in quite a while with cold air in the east. So certainly looking very high chance at cold in the east here during December, coming up in the upcoming pattern. So we just got to get through this little bit of a back and forth mild phase, and then things should be cooling significantly is the expectations. Of course, in the medium to long range, we always take things with a grain of salt, so we will continue to do that. And I'm not ready to say that this is 100% going to happen, but all chances are pointing towards that, and that's the best we can get at this point. So things are looking as in this direction as they possibly can this far out. I will say that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts because I love hearing from you guys so much. Be sure to subscribe for these daily uploads because we do upload every single day, and I will see you guys in the next video.